What was once my barrier is now my foundation.
You just legalize it. Just legalize it, okay?
Open up, Colorado. It's 420. Time to grind and burn.
This is not your son's stoner show.
Welcome to the Cannabis Community Project with your host Brainstorm, broadcasting live high up from Denver, Colorado at the Dank Studios, 3538 Denver, Colorado. It's the Grind and Burn Show. Amazing soy candles, amazing products. Candles, sprays, and lotions. Cushly, eliminating odor the natural, organic way. Check them out at www.cushly.com. Have you heard a business that inspires you? Have you thought about starting your business idea? Make 2017 the time of now. Don't be a one-apreneur, be a cannapreneur. Contact us at the Cannabis Community Project. Contact me personally, brainstorm at cannabiscommunityproject.com.
Feeling guilty about a time with cannabis?
Get it off your chest and confess it on Cannafessions, your public forum to absolve your soul.
New voice message, Wednesday, 4:21 p.m.
Hey, yeah, this is Mark. I went over to my grandma's house for a Christmas dinner, and I lost my bag. I looked all over and I couldn't find it. And I left, and my aunt came over. She was standing in the room, and the next day, my grandma found a bag and blamed it on her. Thought she was smoking weed. She kept denying it. She's older. She kept denying it, and my grandma, she was convinced it was hers, and she wanted to take her to the hospital so she could get fixed because she was a weed addict. And I never told them that it was my bag. So sorry, Auntie. Sorry, Grandma. Really mine. And yeah, okay. I feel better. Thanks. Bye.
To replay this message, press 1. To delete this message and go to the next, press 7.
And that was Cannafessions. If you have a confession to make, contact me via Facebook or the website at cannabiscommunityproject.com.
Walking barefoot with open wounds. Lord Jesus, there's a fire and I didn't grab my shoes. We sat on the hillside counting the birds. Our mothers were young, our fathers taught us hard work. Sometimes you make me feel too much. The things that I need, the things in dreams that you can't touch. Whatever this race is, darling, I'm not fast enough. And I'm still stranded trying to catch up. And I'm still stranded trying to catch up. Clover and dandelions, big gray house on the hill. touch. Whatever this race is, darling, I'm not fast enough. And I'm still stranded, trying to catch up. And I'm still stranded, trying to catch up. And I'm still.
My name is Sandy Norwood, and I currently live west of Loveland off of 34 in the beautiful Rocky Mountains. For me, I love to stay recluse, but I'm building my business at that same time in the mountains, and it's called Rock Solid Ltd. Rock Solid is a company that has a vision to help the industry save water and electricity. To do this, it's using aquaponics and a power generator that I'm coming up with myself that I've rendered on a CAD program.
So very environmental-based technology.
Oh, yeah.
Specializing in cannabis.
Yes.
And you use the word aquaponics.
Yes.
So we're going to have to define a couple of vocabulary words. So why don't we start with just the basics? Let's understand the fundamentals of what your business is, how it works.
So let's go
start there.
So aquaponics itself is a marrying of hydroponics and aquaculture. Aquaculture is when you grow fish for sale, and hydroponics, as everybody knows, that's growing plants and using synthetic or chemicalized fertilizers. Aquaponics just brings those two together, and the fertilizer is from the fish and a few amendments, but for the most part, it saves and conserves up to 90% of the water. And then with the fish, you can either just grow like just a regular goldfish or tilapia, something that's edible, koi, doesn't matter. I mean, it depends on your system size, depends on what you want to do. But for the most part, we're just looking for the nutrients from the fish.
So to help understand this a little bit better, plants basically have to sit in something, right? They either sit in soil, some type of medium, or they sit in water. In your case, the roots are sitting in water, and that water is being fertilized by the fish living in that water?
Somewhat. They have the deep raft system, and they also have just their regular flow-through systems. Mine is a grow bed where it cycles water through. So it fills up, and then it automatically drains. It doesn't require any kind of electronics for that. It's just a regular siphon. So once it gets to a certain level, it drains. So the roots have time to get the oxygen that it needs and just to dry out a little bit. So that way they're not constantly in that water flow.
So the fish is replacing whatever feed would normally be put into the water to feed the plants is what the fish are doing. So how?
When the fish have their waste and it's going in through the pump system, so you have a sump tank, then it goes up into, which in my case would be a power generator because that's how I'm going to start. It's like a hydropower. Goes through there. Everything then flows down into the grow bed. And that grow bed will also have a few worms in there, red wiggler worms, because that's going to also help break down that fish waste even that much more.
The worms eat everything that's in there.
And because of the bacteria, and this is the key fundamental difference between hydroponics and aquaponics, it's the bacteria count. In aquaponics, because plants rely on bacteria to convert the food that they need, aquaponics, you can't have anything that's synthetic. No pesticides, herbicides, fungicides, nothing. And the chemical type of fertilizers, they don't help the system. I mean, it'll help convert it, but it's not maximized for the aquaponic system. So when the water comes in, it has all the nutrients in it. The bacteria convert it, convert the ammonia to nitrates, then to the nitrate. That's the nitrites, nitrites. There's so much, right? And then nitrogen, right? So it's getting all converted, and there are some people that actually use human urine instead of the fish. So
really?
Yes,
what's
called
the advantage?
The advantage for the human urine, so long as they're absolutely healthy, they have to be like a boulderite healthy. So that way they have nothing that's going to be medications or anything like that that will hurt the system whatsoever. Right. So they use their own urine because the ammonia, that's what provides the transition from nitrates to nitrogen. But I tend to stay away because it just doesn't really have, the facial expression. You're just like, no, not human urine. So I stick with fish. There is a huge movement that is out there that, please forgive me for not remembering what the name of it is, but it is quite literally using human feces and urine for this kind of aquaponics. That's not what I do.
Okay.
Stay away from that one. Right? Yeah, listen. And once that is done, the conversion rate, and once the system is up and running, optimally, it'll be about a year and a half once everything is settled. I mean, you've already cycled through several grows. But at that time frame, pH is not really a problem. The temperature, it's not really going to be here in Denver and the surrounding areas. The temperature is not that big of a deal. Where I wanted to start it was in North Dakota. I started building a whole commercial size process using rocket mass heaters for heating, just making sure that the heat is stabilized for the water and making sure everything's insulated. So I was geared to make something that was going to be cold worthy and any other type of inclement weather worthy, basically. I was going to be for the trenches. And then life happened, moved here, and had to get a regular job to learn more about the water processing here.
Is this about a way of living for you? Is it about just getting a better product that is more efficient? What is the motivation of all this energy that it takes to get these type of projects, especially new projects that not a lot of people know about? It takes a lot of energy. Where does that come from? What's driving you?
The driving factor, it truly is my end goal, is to help the Indian nations. Okay. I have Blackfoot heritage, and in Montana, when I went through some of the areas, I couldn't stop crying because they were so impoverished. And they rely on, like in Pine Ridge, they rely on a food truck to come in once a month to distribute food. And for me, hearing about that way back, this was in 2010. I was building an eco-village basically in 2007. I did all that, and I was like, and that motivation stopped. Once I started seeing what was going on in the Indian reservations, that's where my focus changed from just a village to sustainability to actually help and feed the people. It was so painful to see them so impoverished. And then with Pine Ridge, hearing about what's going on, and they're continually blocking their supplies. I mean, oh my gosh, it frustrates me so much. And that's what propels me, because my end goal is to go around United States and go to the reservations and build these things for them, build the whole aquaponic system. For food purposes, not for cannabis, but for food. And that way they don't have to worry about the electricity problems. They don't have to worry about the lack of water, because it only takes a little bit at a time. And from rain, oh my gosh.
Self-empowering. I mean, I grew up on the Navajo reservation down in northern New Mexico.
Oh,
and
wow.
My mom still works for the Indian Health Service. So I have had the chance to see. Well, I mean, I lived on the res for, I don't know, second grade through fourth, so, to some years, and then lived the rest of my life throughout Four Corners
community
area, right around there. So I've had a chance to see what reservations look like up close, what it's like to work on them and live around them. I worked for one through a casino, also a very common place to work for, my mom has 30 years working for the Indian Health Service down there. So I understand these issues, and that they're real issues, and that they're issues of not just simply a saying, why don't their people just do it? There's so many issues involved.
There's so much red tape. Oh my gosh. I was astounded when I started researching how I can get in just to even talk to a council member for Pine Ridge. And I don't know if you know who Walt Purrier is. Walt Purrier is trying to be on the council, but he helps so many of those kids up in Pine Ridge by giving them hope, by giving them a skateboard. And he gives them something to do. And so what I wanted to do was to get my foot in the door was talk to him, and let's set up some permaculture around those skate parks that they're building. I mean, they're massive skate parks that just ended up not going very far. And that also helped propel me. Well, I got to just keep marching forward. I don't care what they're doing. I want to be able to bring this to the table, fully materialize, and say, here, I've got a solution for you guys, and I really want to help. If you guys take it, great. It's free. If you don't, great. You don't want my help. Fine.
Becca, did you have a question?
No, I can't remember.
All right, good. I'm going to cut that out then. You've never existed.
Wow. So that was my main drive, my main motivation, that when I wake up in the morning, it is a lifestyle. I wake up 7 o'clock, 4 o'clock, doesn't matter. I'll be thinking about this, and it's one of those passions that if you try to let it go, it doesn't go away. It just sticks with you until you do something about it. And if you give it your very best, you've tried. And I feel like that's when I can say, okay, this didn't go anywhere. Let's see if I can branch off. But I won't stop. I'm just that kind of a person.
Where did this learning come from? Did you study it in school? Did you have it passed down to your parents? Did you learn it on your own? How did you acquire all this knowledge to build self-sustaining aquaponic farms?
It definitely was self-taught. I was motivated by the fact that my stepfather was a mechanic, and he was not the most environmentally friendly mechanic out there. And he would dump the oil in our property. When I was a kid, I was like 9 years old or something like that. I had no idea what was going on. I saw these barrels, like, I don't know what the deal is, but living out in Washington State, I mean, it's so beautiful, so pristine, everything's so lush, and what a couple of barrels, no big deal. I found out that when he went to sell the property, he had to pay like some weird amount of like $200,000 for a 7-acre property to clean up the mess because the EPA came in and said, you've got to clean up this spill. This is a hazardous waste site. And then I found out I was also getting sick when I was playing around our little creek area. And when I started putting 2 and 2 together, I started really getting pissed off at my stepfather. I was like, why is he polluting this? And I'm getting sick. It didn't happen until probably about when I was in my mid-20s that I decided that I need to pursue more of this, trying to help with this water, because I don't like drinking regular water, regular tap water. So I started seeing that, okay, I want to do distilled water. Well, if I can't handle the water, then what's going on with my gardens? I've always had gardens ever since I was 12, that I went out in Washington and started digging up my own little 4 foot by 4 foot plot. And I'm sitting there watering them and I'm like, why aren't these, doing so well? And later on I found out, well, it's because our water supply has so much crap in it. So for me, it was trying to figure out, okay, so what can I do? And it was a process that, it was an organic process, basically, just one step out of the other, that I learned more about water, learned more about gardening. And then back in 2010, 2011 timeframe, I wanted to build a geodesic dome in North Dakota. And I was thinking, oh, okay, now I can do this.
Yes, Becca.
Well, I have it on my mind. When you say geodesic dome, did I say that right? Is that like, what's that movie where they lived in that dome?
Biodome, Pauly Shore.
Pauly Shore, do you know Pauly Shore?
I know Pauly Shore, but
there was a movie out there, Biodome, where they lived in a is that what that is?
But is that...
Is that what that is?
I'm going to have to watch that or look at it.
He had to live in a biodome for like a year or something. He got, imagine Pauly Shore in this situation.
It was a community.
Okay.
But that's what I'm asking is, would this be like a dome where you're living in and everything? Okay.
No, it's not living quarters.
Self-sustaining.
No, it's not the living quarters. This is just
where
strictly...
you seal yourself in for X amount of time.
No, that was... they did that, in the 1980s? Biosphere.
Yeah, that's what the movie was based on.
Oh, yeah.
So,
and then they couldn't do anything
imagine the hilarities
more.
that ensues with
Right.
Pauly Shore.
Oh, my gosh.
Trapped in a biodome with...
It was actually fun.
All right. Any other questions?
So could she elaborate more on the biodome? Did I say that wrong?
Please elaborate.
Buddy. No, it wouldn't be a biosphere or biodome. This would be just the geodesic dome, where I don't know if you know the basic design of it.
Please explain. Yeah,
Buckminster Fuller. He is a very famous architect / inventor / he's just one of my mentors. That with the geodesic dome, it has shapes of triangles. Okay. So when they're coming all together, they end up making the hexagon, and with that, it's the strongest structure, basically, that can handle all sorts of loads. So because North Dakota has straight line winds that will just which happened to my greenhouse, knock your roof off, because mine was a pitch and it just went, just took the whole thing off, and it was a 70-foot long building on half of it. And I was building the...
That's almost like a football.
Almost. That's the yards. Okay, so we're going back to 70 feet.
Okay.
And it was still a large building. That's what inspired me. I was like, oh, that's it. I have got to do the geodesic dome. This other regular barn crap is not working for me. So with more research, I ended up going online, and I saw this one guy, Bigelow Farms in Connecticut, and he was by himself. He's an engineer, and he was building this geodesic dome by himself, him and his tractor. I was like, oh my gosh. So I was riveted. For me, I don't watch soaps. I don't watch regular TV. I watch YouTube things that it's a DIY thing. And for weeks, I just watched him struggle and do this by himself. And then he had a couple of people help him. And then finally, when it was all done, I was like, that's it. And he ended up putting aquaponics in there and then the rocket mass heater. And I was like, okay, that's a given. I knew that was going to happen. But the geodesic dome, that was it for me. I was sold. Aquaponics at that time, I was like, yeah, okay. Yeah, I'm glad everybody else is getting into it. That's awesome. I can't have a garden here in North Dakota. I better have it aquaponics because, 9 months out of the year, it's winter. So from that knowledge and doing massive quantities of research, it propelled me for my passion. And then it really cemented it when I drove through Montana and I saw the Indian reservations. I was it. I can't even go on from there.
You said you came to Colorado to further your education in this field. So when you come to Colorado, you said 2010?
I came here in 2015.
Oh, so
I can't even grow anything for another 6 months.
Oh, okay, so 2015.
I'm relying on other people to grow.
So what brought you to Colorado? Why Colorado?
This is where the personal insight comes from and get to know me. I'm actually 44 years old. I have 4 children, and my youngest child, who is, at that time frame when he was telling me about this and I was in North Dakota, he said he wanted to come to Colorado and live. And he was 12. And I was like, wow, are you sure? And it was 2013. That's when you guys had massive fires all over the place. You had the massive flood, and it was just devastation. And then on top of that, you had heat waves that are going on the west side. I asked him, are you absolutely certain? He's like, yeah. Oh, I really think Colorado's awesome. So after I moved from North Dakota, and then I went to New Hampshire, I was just by myself. My kids were with my ex-husband in Florida. And I sat a long time. That's when I ended up writing my book, Indoor Garden Oasis, Aquaponic Style, and showing people how to build it. And so I built this thing in my apartment. And during that whole year, because I only stayed there for 1 year, from 2014 to 2015. And during that time frame, I was doing a lot of reflection. And even though I was, constantly busy, I started thinking, no, you know what? Colorado sounds like a great place. So I was telling some of my friends at Amazon.com, and I was like, okay. So that was my current job. So what do you think about Colorado? Oh my gosh, you're going to Colorado? That's my girl, man. I was like, what are you talking about? They just legalized marijuana. I was like, what? I was a mom. And for me, I was at the traditional side. I didn't smoke. I maybe had a half a glass of wine during the year time frame. And so my kids, we was like, okay, we're all hands off. We're the traditional no go, no drugs, no alcohol, none of it. And then when they told me about that, I was like, you wouldn't want aquaponics to grow tomatoes or lettuce? The typical guide is like, no. What are you thinking? So if you make you go to, that's it. You're gonna hook us up, right? No, I can't hook you up. You're in New Hampshire. What am I gonna do? So I get here and I was like, wow, you know what? This might be a viable place to live. I actually enjoy it. And then my daughter came up from Florida to come and live with me. I was like, okay, so she likes it. That's great. So she's 17 and she's having a great time. She's seeing the culture and she's telling me, are you sure, Mom? Are you sure you don't want to grow marijuana? Because that seems like a best industry. It's like, no, I don't know. It's kind of catchy. And then there was a gentleman that I was talking to at one of these events, and I was telling him what I wanted to do. And he told me, you want to grow lettuce. You're not going to make any money. You want to make money, right? Yeah, I want to make money. It's like, you're not going to make any money. I was like, why not? That's not where it's at. You got to go cannabis. I had no idea. I really didn't. And so my research into this industry really did start when I got here in July 2015. And from there, it just grew exponentially. And I saw that this industry can meet my goal, my end game goal. So if I jumped into it, I would be able to make the money and help the people I wanted to help. So my first spot was, I was like, okay, I've got to get this going. I've got to make that power generator. I want to be on the marijuana show. And you guys have heard the marijuana show.
Yes.
Okay. So I ended up wanting to try and apply, and I was on the day, and I was like, okay, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. I didn't do it. And I was like, oh, that was a self-sabotaging moment for myself. I was like, okay, why are you afraid? So after that, going into 2016, in the meantime, I'm still being an electrician apprentice and working my 40 plus sometimes 50, 60 hours. And I'm still trying to go forward. And that's when I started learning CAD program and making the power generator. And once I did the power generator, and it wasn't quite finished, which it's still not finished to this day, only half of it was printed, that I thought, okay, I'm going to try it again. I'm going to put my application in again for the marijuana show. And my computer wouldn't let me. And for whatever reason, once I finally got to somebody else's computer, I don't know why they did it, but they said that I'm banned. I couldn't apply. It's like, oh my gosh. So I tried to contact them. I was like, this has to be an error. Nobody contacted me back. And I was like, oh my gosh. Okay. So that route was not the route for me to go. I'm just going to keep moving forward. So then I got into a weird situation with my job, being an electrical apprentice. I had been there for 1.5 years. I had high accolades, no write-ups, no nothing. And they fired me because I didn't re-register for my apprenticeship school. And it was because I couldn't afford it, what they were paying me. And it's like, okay, I just can't do it. Well, then you're fired. After that week, I ended up starting Rock Solid. So that way I can continue to move forward. I am just one of those people that just won't stop.
I love the story because it's a story that I can relate to, and I think many people do, in the sense of becoming an entrepreneur out of last resort, nowhere else to go. I was talking to a guy over the Christmas break who was telling me, yeah, I've always wanted to start my own business, but there's so much risk. I looked at him, I said, risk? So there's a big difference between us. I said, I'm not giving anything up to become an entrepreneur. I'm trying to accomplish getting something from being an entrepreneur. Mm-hmm. I'm not a CEO at X company going, should I go out on my own and take the risk? And I think your story is a little more relevant to how most people kind of become entrepreneurs. They get a lot of pathways in life kind of shut off and others open, and they end up having to work for themselves, usually out of default in a lot of senses. So I like
default,
that.
Yeah. But for me, this definitely, I don't know if you've heard about the Robert Kiyosaki book.
Like Rich Dad, Poor Dad type stuff?
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
So when I was still married, that was back in 2005 when I read that book. And then I read the Cash Flow Quadrant. And I started really getting it that you don't go and get a job just to earn a paycheck. You go to learn. And basically, my jobs were doing just that. I had already had my own business. I was doing hurricane cleanup when they had the hurricanes going over Florida and then to the Mississippi, which that was Hurricane Katrina. I had a direct hand in helping them with the cleanup. But because of Hillary Clinton, she was a senator at the time, she forced all the little guys out of the picture because of the hazardous material and all these little regulations that she put in place. And it took a lot longer for that cleanup to happen. And it still is, to this day, it's still devastated in certain select areas. But that business taught me that things beyond your control, it's okay. Just keep at it. Don't stop. Don't quit. Even if there's a senator that doesn't want the little guy to survive.
So you've been attempting to be an entrepreneur well before Rock Solid started. Mm-hmm. As my suspicion is, entrepreneurs are kind of people who wrote exactly right. Dexter. Their personality is more kind of their whole life of attempting to always self-focus and drive kind of your own path type thing, and using organizations and corporations more as pass-throughs, as you're talking about, rather than end goals. Where do you see this establishment of Rock Solid taking place in Colorado in just a general sense of something very similar is happening? There's large organizations coming in. They're starting to really monopolize. Dispensaries are becoming the thing of really what's controlling the grow markets and what it looks like maybe many or all markets from a product and manufacturer standpoint. Where do you see yourself as an individual in this? Do you need to team up with an organization? Do you need to go at it alone?
I'm so glad you asked.
Oh, well, thank you.
As a matter of fact, one of my other because I'm a workaholic. One of my other things that my older business had taught me was if I need to make myself get a foothold into this industry and actually survive and make the money that I was making, my business was making $10,000 a week. And, you know, a lot of that went obviously towards expenses. But once you get that, you're like, oh my gosh, I got to get that back. And in this industry, I can see that tenfold. But because of me being just, you know, I'm just that little individual that has a little idea. And you're right. It's all those corporate conglomerates that are like vulturing in on it. And they're like, okay, you know what? You guys did a grassroots effort. Way to go. Appreciate you. Now get out. You know, that's how I'm seeing it starting to flow. And it's one of those things like Troy Dayton. Once I started getting on LinkedIn and looking at people, I saw that guy is like, oh my gosh, he didn't quit for over 20 years. And
ArcView, you're referring to.
ArcView, and he is the CEO and founder of ArcView. And then because of that research, I was looking for, all of a sudden, it's just like, okay, I need investors. Again, I only started my business the last week, pretty much in December. So I'm going from nothing to something. And that's where it was really exciting for me. I accepted the podcast with you. And then I had 3 other investor companies contact me back and they wanted me to do a pitch. One of them was ArcView. And because I did so much research with ArcView, they don't do seed companies, and mine is definitely a seed company. I'm on growing with the industry, basically. And they said, well, you might want to check out Cannabis. And I checked out Cannabis, and I had already talked to them, did my pitch, and I'm in for the application status for the new year. So this new spring application process for the accelerator program, that it'll be 16 weeks long. I don't know if I'm going to be accepted yet or not, but oh my gosh, I was so excited because I told my daughter, I was like, oh, can you believe this is happening? Something's not finally happening. She's like, it's because you're not a hermit anymore. And I was like, oh, okay, I get that. I understand. So because I wasn't a hermit, I also threw myself out there this week. They had a Canopy Boulder meet and greet, basically. I showed up there. Patrick Ree, he ended up looking at me. He's like, do I know you? What is your business? Rock Solid. Rock Solid, that's right. And you're Sandy? I was like, yeah, I'm Sandy. And he totally floored me. The fact that the person that interviewed me and for my pitch, they were talking and he knew my name. And for me, even these little, some people are like, that's nothing. But for me, I like to celebrate every little step that I get to go up just a little bit more and just a little bit more. So to me, that's monumentous. So they knew my name, and he talked more about what Canopy Boulder was. And then afterwards, I got to talk with Megan. Megan is also the marketing. And she was all excited too. She's like, yeah, I'm in a man's field. You know how it is. Like, yeah, construction. And yeah, and I get that. That's, oh my gosh, this is exciting. Oh, let me put you on my emailing list and we'll invite you to more of these. And it was just like, for me to have so many doors just slam shut sometimes. And then the floor just like ripped out from me. Even if I don't get in, I'm still very honored and humbled that my idea meant something to somebody and that it was viable, not just to me and not just to the community that I was in North Dakota or the pot smokers in New Hampshire, but down here too. And it was really exciting. And the fact that there's going to be so much legislation. If you read minutes of any of the county meetings that they've got, that's one of the biggest fire points that they've got. And it's not just a little, it's fire points. We're using so much electricity for this industry right now. It's driving them nuts. They're trying to figure out something, but it's going to move to regulation. And for me, I don't want that to happen so much. We just started, really. And for people to want to regulate us and regulate the grow operations as much as they want to right now, is saying, okay, you're going to have only a certain amount of water, you're going to only have a certain amount of electricity, and then what? And that's where I wanted to come in.
The accelerator program is doing exactly what it's supposed to, is giving opportunities to individuals that don't have a lot of traditional means. I doubt your bank would want to hear your story and throw any money your way. And friends and family typically don't have the type of money that's needed to get a business moving. So an accelerator program is perfect for that. And I think you have an excellent business concept. And honestly, they've been doing it a few years and they've had a lot of businesses come and go. So you can't judge, because there's been a lot of businesses that you look at and you go, really? They accepted this one? And then others they look at and you go, wow, this one is going to make the money on it.
Right.
So I congratulate you. I think you have just as much chance for being accepted. And for individuals like yourself, these accelerator programs, it's a small percentage they ask for. They give you a small chunk of change. It's not anything that's going to make you go out there and just start burning money at a rate that that you need, but it's enough to get an individual or maybe hire somebody else on and push it forward for a few months. And then that's a stepping stone to maybe something bigger where you get a few investors and then a stepping stone. And it lets you open up those channels of investment. Would you like to add to that, Becca?
And go back to your education. It's going to be, I mean, it's your master's program in business in 16 weeks. I mean, you're going to feel like you lived 3 years in 3 months.
I'm just so excited.
You're going to be ready. I'm just telling you, the reason you lost your job is exactly for this, and good things are going to come out for it. Trust me.
Becca, if I don't get in this program, I'm going to be standing. I'm going to find you so we can find her.
I know where she lives.
Perfect. That's one thing I was really super excited because I know that I have weaknesses, and that's where a lot of new entrepreneurs, they just like, oh no, I've got that. I've got this work ethic, and I've got the resources, and I've got all this, and I'm a positive person, and I can go. Okay, so what are your weaknesses? I don't have any weaknesses.
Yeah.
Well, that's not quite true. Everybody does.
Yeah, that makes me nervous. It's
Oh,
like
yeah.
driving with somebody who says, like, I'm a great driver, as they're flying by you at 180 miles an hour. It's like, I don't know, it's like, I don't know. If you can't self-identify your flaws, I don't know if you can properly excel in what you're doing.
Right.
So it makes me nervous, people who think they have all their shit put together.
Yeah, no, I definitely don't have that. I'm just one step at a time. For me, it's just that one stepping stone. And even if I get the stepping stones that are like this together and then I get more, that's fine. But for me, it really is knowing that my weaknesses are things like marketing. I mean, I can do so much, but there's so much I don't know the whole marketing aspect, what's going on now. You can market with YouTube and all this other social media, but Twitter might be going out. Who knew? I don't.
Let me give you some just easy advice on that, because I have been doing marketing and sales for quite a long time. Don't really worry about that right now. What I would suggest you focus on is your product, right? Because good products get people involved, and people getting involved will grow a natural organic marketing program, which is the only thing a sole proprietor can do. Using marketing in the sense of like what tools are available at my disposal is kind of like how a corporation thinks, because they're looking at where to spend money to use these tools. You don't have those available, including the money. So the only thing you can focus on is your product. And hopefully the focus on the product will be so inspiring that it'll make people want to market for you in a very organic way. So I wouldn't focus too much on, what's the right tool for marketing, what's this and what's that. I would just make a kick-ass product, and that in itself will lead to the marketing possibilities. It'll kind of present itself of how to navigate that in a sense. But I wouldn't take up any mind share at all throughout your day thinking about what is my proper marketing strategy at this point in your step.
Well, and that's where my weakness is too. Another one is that I'll get so overwhelmed with so many different hats, I guess you could say, that I feel like I have to wear, from being a CEO that's got to be out there, to that person that's got to answer emails, to the person that has to do the accounting, to the person which I thought I was going to be doing marketing, and I can only really do limited marketing, so it's not proper marketing according to what
you're doing
mainstream.
It right now. I mean, this
exactly.
is a form of marketing.
That's what I was so excited too.
But right now, what you are is you're marketing yourself, right? This is investment in Sandy and Sandy's idea. And that's what you're looking for right now. And what you're doing is perfect, right? And so that for me, it's you got to build that relationship. You build that, you're going to connect. You put the right energy out there. The right people are going to come to you. So you just keep doing what you're doing.
Well, thank you.
All that other stuff will come. Or the person that's going to do your marketing when you get to that point will arrive at your doorstep. So you just have to keep doing what you do.
Yeah, that's one of those things that when things show up, like this podcast or like what Canopy Boulder, all of a sudden, just like, yeah, we're listening to you because we thought you had an interesting idea. And then after talking to Patrick and he's the co-founder of Canopy Boulder. After talking to Patrick, he was also really excited. I mean, he's just like, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's because of entrepreneurial energy. I don't know if some people have that spark. I'm just sparking with energy. I mean, I just want to help people. And I guess I'm freely just like, people are like feeling that energy too. And so when I was talking to Megan, she was getting excited about it. And I'm talking to my kids, and well, obviously they're always excited. They just want mom to succeed somehow, some way. So currently right now, my one daughter, she just had a birthday yesterday. So she's 19. My oldest son is 24. My other daughter is 21. and my youngest son is 15. He'll be 16 in next month, actually.
Nice. So you already have a couple people who are of employment age and a couple others who can work as interns.
Oh my gosh, you don't even know the excitement. When my 19-year-old, she was the one that was living with me first, and then she ended up being inspired, I guess, somehow, some way, something rubbed off, and now she went to a permaculture farm over in Washington State, and she has an internship over there, and I'm really excited for her. So she took off. Life happened to my other daughter, and she got married young, and something happened, and she ended up with me now, and while her husband is still down in Florida. So during this time frame, and she's really sad, and she's all of a sudden starting to listen to me talk about, because I was talking about this even before, obviously I lost my job, and she's like, Mom, you're what? You want to grow cannabis? And she's like uber against cannabis. So for her, she was definitely against it. And within 2 weeks of her living with me, she started living with me at the first week of November. By Thanksgiving, she was all excited. She's like, Mom, I'm going to be a salesperson. And she was in real estate down in Florida. So she's got a couple years worth of sales. And she started crunching the numbers. She's like, oh my gosh, do you realize how much I could make? It's like, I don't know if we're going to be able to even sell it. I can't grow it yet. So give me 6 months. Just give me 6 months. We'll see what happens in 6 months. Oh my gosh, I'm going to be this is exciting because I can then do my business, because she's got my entrepreneurial spirit. So for her, she has something else that she wants to do with gaming world, which is huge. And so we had a lot of arguments one night about how gamers love to game while they're high. And she's like, oh no, the best gamers aren't high. How do you know? Maybe you can sell them our stuff. I don't know.
Well, using the kids or whoever else you can get as free labor is,
Oh, she's not free. Oh no. She's already told me, she's like, Mom, can we negotiate the commissions of like 15%? I was like, 15%? What the heck? And this is my kid.
Beck and I both know quite a few people who have gone through the Cannabis program. I've interviewed many of them. We still have connections with many people who have gone through the program. What I would say is, in a non-scientific evaluation, the companies that seem to have excelled the most are the ones that had a little bit more mass in the amount of people that are working with them. They accept individuals. They accept people who have done it as individuals and couples and so forth. The ones that I've seen really push past just the cannabis stage and go through the arc view and really keep moving up are ones that have an accumulation of people really working in that team and constantly growing with them. So starting by yourself is great. Getting your kids involved would be better, and then amassing those around you who are willing to come in, because the money they're going to give you is not going to be enough to really pay employees per se. And it's not really going to be enough money to market your way out into the world. So it's going to be a real test of diligence and use of money and everything else. But if we can go out with maybe one last thought of, since you're new to the industry and you're on the verge of so much happening, if you could just paint the picture of if you could write your own story over the next 12 months, where would we be next January 2018? What would have happened in the last year?
If I could write my own Cinderella story, it would be the same thing as how everything has happened so far. And that everything that wasn't right or wasn't meant to be, all those doors were slammed shut, and that would propel me to keep going forward. And I would actually get to see somebody contract us out for consulting, or even just starting that first aquaponics facility with the full power generator. And just to see that live would be just like momentous for me. That's what I want to see happen, because you can have a building built, or one of these buildings, I mean, it's not that big of a deal, for a geodesic dome, and have the whole aquaponics system run up. That would take roughly about 6 months for them to build. No big deal. But to have all the hoops that we have to go through, all the regulations, the licensing, permits, everything, if all that red tape all of a sudden became just open and flowing, for everything just flowed, yes, that's where ultimately my goal is to have an actual facility.
With that, I would like to invite you back January 2018.
All right.
To come back and sit down.
Wait, you're holding me accountable here.
I do appreciate your time. It doesn't mean we're done chatting. It just means we're done today.
Okay.
Can somebody give her a tissue first? We got technical equipment around here.
Right. That's all right. Thank you.
I appreciate your honesty. I appreciate you being open. I appreciate you coming in here just open-minded and coming down to have a conversation without really knowing what you're getting in for. Despite listening to previous shows, people never really know what the hell they're getting into when they come talk to me. So I appreciate it.
You're quite welcome, and I would look forward to coming back, even in 6 months, just to say, hey, you know what? I've got my approval process, and I went through the Cannabis project, and I am on that accelerator course.
Well, hopefully we don't have to wait 6 months. Maybe you can come back in a few weeks and talk to Becca on her podcast. Maybe you can write some blog posts for the website.
Well, for me, actually, now that you're saying part of my marketing, and since I can't do very much on a limited budget, one thing I can do, I can stream myself. So what I was going to start was a video vlog, basically, of once a week. This is what I had to go through as a woman entrepreneur in the cannabis industry. What do they call them? Cannapreneurs? Yeah, cannapreneur. Wait.
No, not manure. Cannapreneur.
Yeah.
Can of manure is what we're going to sell on our next product.
Perfect.
Fertilizers. Yes. And I would be happy to use my blog page as an outlet for you to have a place to post, publish those clips, whether they be in audio, video form, written text form, however you'd like to do it. It's
Nice.
a multimedia world.
Very nice.
Any last parting words you would like to get out there? Any messages? Let's make sure people have some contact information because somebody may want to talk to you about what you're doing. Website, social media, phone numbers, bank accounts, PIN numbers.
All right. So we'll skip the latter part of that, but I do have a LinkedIn account, and you can find me at Sandra Norwood. And for my website, it's rocksolidltdnoco.com. From there, I haven't quite yet set up my YouTube channel just yet. I'm also going to be doing a GoFundMe project, which will be on the website here by next week.
Excellent. Becca, would you like to say goodbye?
Oh, voluntarily. I had so much fun. I look forward. I can't wait to hear where you're going to be in 6 months. I'm excited for you. Super.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We're done.
Whew. Oh my gosh. You made me cry.
I know. You say that all the time.
That's all I have for you this week, Cannapreneurs. We're on our way home, sliding through 2017. Make sure to stick with us all year long. We have new podcasts coming out and many, many more guests to talk to, just like you. Follow us after the show on all the social media, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, even Mass Roots, all under the same name, Cannabis Community Project. We'll see you next week.